I'm on a server called Autocraft and someone asked me how I made my Sculk farm, so I thought I would show you. My farm is entirely underground, however I'm going to get this out in the open so you can see what I did for it. The very first thing that I did was made a 3x3 square at the very bottom. Just underneath this block here, I put a Sculk catalyst. That means when anything dies near it, then experience and Sculk will spread around the area, which is what we want. I then placed a single dripstone on every single one of these blocks. Even though there's a big drop from the top to the bottom, I wanted to make sure that the mobs would die. The distance to fall is about 25 blocks, but I'm going to do about 20 just for the sake of this. Also, I'm not going to show you me building this because, let's be honest, you're going to get bored of this real tired real quick. But I'm going to build up the walls and then build up the platform at the top. Okay, so that is a chute built. All I need to do now is add in where the water is going to go and a place for the mobs to spawn. If you're curious, this is just a generic mob spawner, and if you've never built a mob spawner before, it's relatively simple. Alright, that's the platforms and the water added. All I need to add now are the walls. If you're wondering why I'm using this particular block to build the mob spawner, it's because of the fact that a lot of the blocks in the game can be replaced by Sculk, and I don't want to accidentally break my spawner and ruin everything. However, wall is one of those blocks that cannot be changed into a regular block of Sculk. Now all that's left to do is fill in the ceiling. Remember to light up the top of this, or you can place down slabs or carpets to prevent mobs from spawning on the outside. Now all that's left to do is wait. Pro tip for you, by the way, maybe make sure it's not set to peaceful. Otherwise you might be standing here for 2 or 3 minutes wondering why nothing is spawning, kind of like I did. Alright, so all of the platforms for the mobs to spawn on have now been changed to stone. I recommend you do this. I don't know if it's going to make a difference, but at this point, anything could happen. Except for mob spawning, because that does not seem to be a thing here. Okay, so a spider just fell, and as you can see, it's changed quite a few things into Sculk, which is awesome. So another thing that I have on Autocraft SMP is I have these little 1x1 gaps where I can harvest a lot of Sculk as opposed to getting one at a time. So if I were to just harvest this bit here, I would get one. However, now that I've got this little section here, I can harvest 5 at a time when it's fully sorted. So let me just gather some more of these. And now these little holes are going to be filled up with Sculk, as you can see here. When you're harvesting Sculk items, you need to remember to use a hoe with Silk Touch. That way you can actually get the block. Otherwise you just get EXP. Occasionally there will be a few mobs that somehow survive the fall. It's also important to remember to light up tunnels around you, as well as caves. A tip as well is to make sure that the area that you're collecting the Sculk from has a wall. That way it's able to spread down, and that's how you get the Sculk blocks. And not only will you be able to get Sculk blocks, but you'll also be able to get Sculk sensors and Sculk shriekers. So this is what my Sculk farm looks like on Autocraft if you haven't seen it before. Every single one of the floors is covered in Sculk, and there's a nice little rim around the edge of where the Sculk is as well. This just gives it an added chance for a Sculk sensor or a Sculk shrieker to spawn in. It is very efficient, however it can take a while for sensors and shriekers to spawn in, as they do have a 9% chance of spawning. As the mobs are dying behind me, I just want to say I hope this tutorial has helped you out a little bit. I know that it can be quite difficult to try and find a guide online that doesn't involve a lot of redstone and is very simple. So I appreciate you for watching this. Thank you, and I'll see you hopefully in my next Autocraft episode. Goodbye!